What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, guys. We back with part two. You realize America messed you up, really messed you up. I know I mentioned in the first video, I was just kind of giving my experience because your boy that had the opportunity to go overseas and visit Europe and stuff like that, and I seen a whole lot of differences. So I have those videos. We'll be in the cars. My first time in Sweden, first time going to Denmark. So I really enjoyed it, man. Definitely want to go back. Gonna visit. My plan is to go and visit some other countries. Probably the Netherlands. The Netherlands is on my list for sure. When it comes to Europe and Spain, Portugal, one of those two. But I know for sure the next one, you see me in Europe, gotta be in the Netherlands. But we're checking out part two. These get interesting, so let's see the interesting stories.
If you're an American currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really messed you up?
When I was dancing in Australia, I
Australia
did
too.
a
Australia
jump and
too.
landed on the outside of my right foot. I sprained it real bad, and they
Sprained
drove me to
ankle.
a private hospital, and I was like panicking.
Without even
But
cost
anyway,
them an
that's the
arm
one
and
that
leg.
was available to me at the time. And on my way into the lobby, I was, hobbling on my crutches. And they spotted me from the parking lot. The doctor came
Dang.
out to me before I even was in the building and went back into the hospital and told them that I was coming. In the waiting room, they came into the waiting room to examine my foot. And I never paid a penny for that shit.
So I can make like
That's
200
crazy.
of these, but I'll just talk about the first time I realized how fucked up the U.S. is, which was in the first week that I got to Sweden. When my boyfriend's family told me that I need to make sure I get insured, and that I get insurance for everything I own, my laptop, my bike, my apartment, my whole body. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. That's so expensive. Like, I'm already super in debt with student loans, so no. But I asked out of curiosity, just like how much it was going to cost. $100 a year to insure everything I have. For rough.
$100 a year, $100 annually, and that just for here in the States, everything is separate. So you get insured here. It's gonna cost you a good grip. Like I pay a good penny for life insurance, and that's not even on top of having my materials and different things, different objects that I have around the house insured. Like that's a good price. That is crazy. Like it will literally cost me almost my salary to get everything insured
Friends, like
around
the average
here.
American person spends $456 a month just on health insurance.
Just a month. That's just a month.
Just for healthcare. That doesn't include cars or home insurance.
And you have to you can't even, well, depending on where you buy your car from, but you can't even leave a car dealership without having insurance now. I'm thinking been like that, but
okay, so I'm not currently living
crazy,
abroad,
man.
but I did live in Australia for a few months. And one night while I was there, I got a little bit too crazy, and I ended up on public transportation without a phone, and I had to find my way back to my apartment. And I got lost, and while I got off the tram to get onto a different tram to take me home, a middle-aged gentleman came up to me, and I immediately went into attack mode, and I was going to kill him. And he was like, no, I was just going to tell you which tram to take to get back to Preston. And that was when I realized that in Australia, I didn't need to be afraid. Granted, take precautions, but I didn't need to be afraid of every man. But in America, I still am.
Ooh, I've been waiting for this one. So at the time, I was living in Germany, and I had gotten food poisoning after traveling back from a country. And I was so sick. I was not eating, not taking anything, and it had been 4 or 5 days. It was really bad. I was too afraid to go to the hospital, one, because I was afraid I couldn't translate, but two, I just didn't want to deal with everything. But my friend said, no, we have to go. So I went. Tell me why we didn't have to wait on an emergency line. I was in the emergency room looking around. I was like, where do I sign in? Like, where's the line? Where are all the people? And they're like, no, you can go right in and go sit down. We'll be right with you.
And usually our emergency rooms are usually packed. I mean, maybe it depends on where you are. I know ours are usually packed.
And I literally walked straight into the office. Like, straight in. And while I was struggling to explain what was going on, they brought in 5 different doctors of each different one. And it only took them 5 minutes to come each time when they realized they couldn't help me. It was somebody else they needed. And I didn't have to pay anything on top of that.
I'm an American.
I think the big thing is they didn't have to pay anything.
Living abroad in Thailand. We've been living here for a year now. So we literally moved here when the pandemic started. My husband had a business trip right before the country closed to Singapore.
Oh, wow.
He came back from Singapore with a fever. So they transported him to a hospital. That hospital, however, didn't have the facilities for full-on quarantine, and so they transported him using an ambulance to another hospital where he was COVID tested and quarantined. Luckily, he tested negative, but he still spent 2 days in the hospital and was transported by ambulance. And so I was thinking the cost was going to be so expensive. The overall cost of it was less than $300.
Wow.
We're back in the States. I know it would have been thousands.
That ambulance ride, $4,000 by itself, $4,000 or $5,000.
It's just incredible to me that
for a 5-minute ride.
Affordable.
So I'm from LA and I moved to Singapore. And before coming here, I asked all my friends if I should bring anything like, a pepper spray just in case anything happens. And they were like, no, that's actually illegal. I don't think that they're allowed to have any kind of weapon.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I was like, what?
Somebody else said that in one of their videos. They were like, you're not even allowed to have guns or anything.
We literally put them in our keychains as accessories. I was like, how do you defend yourself? They were like, from what? You don't have to. It's so safe. I was like, no way. So I Googled.
Yeah, that's one thing I noticed. I was walking around Sweden and Denmark, mostly Sweden though, headphones on, just walking, listening to music, podcasts, and all that stuff. Nobody bothered me. I realized people were just doing their own thing. There were a few people. I think, I had my camera. That was the only time I would stop because people were like, I like your camera, and somebody was like, are you trying to take a picture? You need me to take a picture of you type of thing. But other than that, people are minding their own business. They going to where they need to go. I'm telling you, man, I don't even walk around with my headphones here like that, just walking around town or even, I didn't even do that on campus when I was at school. But in Sweden, I was walking hours from where I was staying and no problems, other than the rain. The rain almost caught me.
No one is allowed to use greater force than necessary to defend themselves. What? The U.S. can't ban guns, but Singapore can ban pepper sprays?
Pepper spray.
So I didn't realize this until I moved abroad, but Americans have a very strange concept of freedom. When you're growing up, you're always told that America is such an amazing place and, it's the land of the free, home of the brave. But, I keep hearing these criticisms from people oh, yeah, but America has the most freedom. Wow, yeah, freedom. I mean, there may be a few exceptions or nuances, but in the UK, you're still free. That is the biggest lie that Americans are ever told, that there aren't other free places. I don't understand.
That's what I never understood that either.
I feel like the concept is kind of destroying American democracy. How ironic. They need to kind of understand that they need to work on things to make themselves better and more free for their citizens.
So just for a little context, I live in Latvia now, but when this happened to me, I was working in the UK as a bartender. And my coworkers and I were talking about gun violence in the US, and they were kind of making jokes like, oh, I'm surprised you graduated and you didn't get shot first and stuff like that. And I guess I was trying to defend it. So I was saying, it's not as bad as the news makes it seem. I only know one school that had an active shooter and had to go into lockdown. And, for me, I only had one gun threat in high school, and it was just a threat, and one when I was in elementary school. And then my coworkers kind of looked at me like,
that's
you
great.
What? And you think that's normal? And I was like, yeah. It's not even that bad.
It's crazy because I work in a school, and I even said in the last video, we never did these type of like trainings and stuff. When I was growing up, it was fire drill, tornado drill. Those are the main things. Now we got lockdown drill, lockout drill, active shooter drill. Like it's a sad thing. It's very sad that we have to practice this in a place that's supposed to be safe.
Well, I was in Grenada for a couple of weeks, and every single day between 12 and 2, they would always close down. Everything would just close down. And I was just like, what is going on? And they were like, well, we need to go home and have lunch with our family, you know, just enjoy, just relax a little bit. And that was when I realized every other country out here really understands the value of spending time with your loved ones and just actually taking a break.
I'm telling you, it's nonstop.
America just teaches us to work.
Hey, what Rihanna say? Work. That's all. That's about it. And it's sad because people have to work a lot, and some people still don't make enough to live. That's the sad thing. A lot of people, I know people with 2-3 jobs, they clock out somewhere and clock it in somewhere else. And they barely making ends meet. They still living paycheck to paycheck out here.
Instead of actually living. So don't procrastinate on your happiness, sis. Your worth is not in labor. It's a luxury. Do what you want to do and be happy.
Oh, I've got a couple. So I'm from Los Angeles, and now I live in Austria. And basically, when I first started working here, they were like, you get 25 days vacation, Fridays off early, and if you're sick, don't come into work. And I was just like, I was floored. Because in the U.S., you only get 10 days vacation and like 5 sick days, and you don't get Fridays off early. You better work.
It definitely depends on where you work.
On top of all of that, all my friends here have like 2 masters, 3 PhDs, etc., because education here is actually free. Amazing. What an amazing concept. In addition, I have yet to see a large homeless community out in the open here in Austria because the government actually offers some social support.
That's what I noticed when I was in Stockholm. I've seen a few homeless people, like maybe 2 or 3, but they wasn't like bothering nobody. You know, they probably slept on the porch bit. But that's one of the main cities in Sweden. But I could take you somewhere downtown Dallas, probably downtown Houston, downtown Austin. Like, it's a whole community of homelessness. Like that's a big difference. Like, it's nothing but tents. You'll see a bunch of tents underneath the bridges and all that. It's sad. It's a sad thing. But yeah, when I was there, I seen maybe 2 or 3. You know, they wasn't bothering nobody. They were doing their own thing. You know, here, sometimes the homeless, they'll wash your windows for a few couple of dollars or something, you know?
A lot of social support. In LA, you have villages, streets, blocks full of homeless people.
Oh, I forgot about it.
Because our government doesn't care about us. And here, people don't measure their worth off the car they drive.
Okay, so I live in New York now, but I used to live in England. And one time I was out at this bar with my friends, and these 2 cops walked by. And one of my friends was like, oh, I wonder why there are cops out right now. And I looked at the cops, and I got really confused. And I was like, those are cops? And my friends were like, yeah. And I was like, they don't have guns. And everyone was like, why would they have guns? They were like so aghast at that question. And I realized in that moment and learned that guns, there are so few guns in the UK, and it's such not an issue that like the everyday cop does not carry a gun.
Mm-hmm.
And there are houses in America that have seen more guns in them than a fresh vegetable.
Facts.
It blew my fucking mind. I think about it all the time. I hate guns so much.
I was living in Italy, and my friend needed an ambulance. We weren't going to get an ambulance because of the cost. And then we learned that in Italy, it's free for ambulances. We were literally like, wow, it doesn't have to be thousands of dollars for an ambulance. Crazy. That is crazy. A human life is in fact more valuable than profit here. It is so sad that we have accepted if you are in a vulnerable health situation, it will cost thousands and thousands of dollars, and many people go into medical debt because of this. Where are our priorities?
But that just goes to show, man, like, just with these videos alone, you see, like, the issue, the healthcare and stuff, man. Like, people don't even want to get themselves checked and stuff just because of how much it's going to cost you. It's crazy to stay healthy. It's going to cost you literally your arm and your leg at this point. But, man, we got to do better. But that's all I have for this video. Y'all make sure y'all hit that subscribe button. Send out those recommendations. Y'all be blessed, be the best, and be you. I'm out.